This is a high-speed train from China to Laos, but right after the journey begins, everyone has to get off. To leave China on this train, you don't just ride across the border, you get off and then back on, twice. 2 immigration checks and nearly 2 hours of this 5-hour journey are just border control. But as I quickly discovered, that wouldn't be the only surprise on this trip. Opened only a few years ago, this is the first high-speed train ever to run in Laos. But somewhere along the journey, it starts to feel like crossing between 2 completely different worlds. And today, I'm taking it in first class to see what it's actually like to leave China this way, and whether it's even worth it. We'll be looking at the whole entire experience. This line runs from the city of Kunming in southern China down to Vientiane, the capital of Laos. Though it started operations in December 2021, it's actually part of a much bigger plan to eventually connect China to Bangkok and even Singapore. Today I'm boarding in Xishuangbanna near the Lao border and heading all the way to the town of Vang Vieng in Laos. Since I booked my tickets online, I've just got to pick up the actual paper ticket. Luckily I'm here a little early. First class cost about $60 US, second class was around $43 US. The ride itself is only about 3 hours, but with border procedures thrown in there, it's closer to 5. But I've got a little bit of time until my train departs at 11:30, so first, some coffee. 你好, buy from you.
这是燕麦拿铁，这里点不了，你要什么 ？OK。
That's what a Luckin latte looks like. It's actually quite good. For being a small city, Xishuangbanna's train station still is able to give you that, wow, this is a huge place feeling. And boarding has commenced. The gates have opened. You just scan your passport, actually. You don't even really need to show the paper ticket. Apparently the paper ticket is actually just for the Lao authorities. And boarding for all the fast trains at this station, international or not, seems to start 20 minutes before departure. Okay, 谢谢。
4号车厢在哪儿啊？
I was just asking which part of the track I should be on to get in the right carriage. Looks like it's over here, but the train I'm taking today actually originates in a more northern city in Yunnan province, Kunming, so it's not even made it here yet. There's another fast train rolling through the station, and here the train comes. This should be the right place to stand to get straight in to the first class, at the very back of the train. So here we are. What's the Laos China high-speed train like? Well, our seats are right here. So convenient. And well, the train is looking new, nice, and modern, but guys, I've really messed up. I had assumed we would have a window seat. I didn't do my proper research. There's no window here at all. By the way, most Chinese high-speed trains have a luxurious business class, but this international one only has first and second class. Luckily, the train turned out not to be all that full, so we were able to move over before we even started going. So we can see what it's actually like to take this train in just a minute. One thing about crossing borders like this, once you leave China, your signal disappears. When you're dealing with stuff like immigration forms, hotel addresses, and a new currency, that's not ideal. Situations like that are why I usually set up an eSIM before I travel. I've been trying out Simify recently. They offer travel eSIMs, which are basically mobile data that you download to your phone instead of buying a physical SIM card. So no hunting down a SIM card kiosk and swapping cards in your phone. Everything's just managed inside the Simify app. Getting set up is easy. You download the Simify app, choose your country, choose your plan, and purchase it directly in the app. Then it gives you a QR code. You scan that in your phone settings. Turn on the Simify line, enable data roaming, and you're online as quick as could be after landing or crossing a land border. For a trip like this, where you're literally switching countries mid-journey, having data sorted out in advance just removes a layer of stress. If you've got international travel coming up, get your Simify eSIM before you fly, ride, or perhaps walk across the border. Use my code DAVIDG for an extra 15% off. You'll find it linked down in the description. Big thanks to Simify for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to the train ride to Laos. Most Chinese fast trains actually have an even nicer business class, but this international train to Laos only has first and second class. So yeah, this is the first class seat. You can put it back. Oh, quite a ways actually. This part of the journey is going to be pretty short though, right around an hour, because the town I boarded in is the last stop before the border crossing stations. Although it's currently winter, this far south, the foliage out the window looks a lot like what I'm used to seeing during autumn. But between the views, there are a ton of tunnels, so at some point it was time to get up and roam around the train like a madman. I hadn't had the chance to see it much yet. There's a little bathroom area back here. Thought I'd take a look. I guess it doubles up as a suitcase storage area if the train is a little bit packed full of suitcases. And it's kind of just a typical train bathroom, actually. Not much to observe here. But I'd say in terms of actual comfort, our original seats might be an even better choice. Just no window. And let me see if it's possible to just take a glimpse at the second class. And we got a view walking along here. Ooh, new highway. But yeah, this is the second class. Okay, it's 3-2 seating. Seats are definitely much less wide, less plush. They still look comfortable, actually. I wouldn't have minded sitting there. You can see there's quite a few empty seats all around in this first class. Also, half of the cabin is facing backwards. In the middle, they got this 4-seater. And then we're seated over on this facing forward side. As we sped along, there seemed to be more and more industry and agriculture out of the window. Well, between the tunnels, of course. Going for it. Let's see if Google Translate works well. Daishang Erji? Daishang Erji? Okay. Okay. Shenzhen. Okay. Now, the same thing is behind me. So, a little bit more views now that we're getting close to the border. Just about time to get off the train and do a little check at Mohan border crossing. It felt like the whole train was ready to go long before we pulled into the first border crossing.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to arrive at the Mohan station.
The same announcement was played in 3 languages over and over, but the basic idea is that you can't leave anything on board at the border crossings because you have to go through customs with all of your belongings.
We're going to arrive at the Mohan station.
This was my first time crossing a Chinese land border, and I was a little bit worried that it might not be as smooth as what I'd experienced at Chinese airports. It turned out to be stress-free. So the border crossing over here is actually pretty fast. For kind of obvious reasons, I didn't film anything, but the whole thing took me about 10 minutes, and now my wife and I are some of the earlier ones over here. There's also a business class waiting lounge here, but my train simply didn't have business class, and a first class ticket on its own doesn't get you in. There's also snacks for sale, but I don't think the wait's going to be too much longer. It's supposed to be about 52 minutes over here at the Chinese border, and then another 52 minutes down the way at the Lao border. As the train reboarded nearly an hour after pulling into the station, and back to the train. The extensive border crossing process was starting to make me wonder if this is really the best way to travel between the two countries. Now just a short little ride. I think it's something like 10 kilometers over to Botan station, which is where you do all the Lao border control stuff. But I'm getting quite hungry. Luckily, there will be food on this train, but only after the Lao border, when they can restock and reopen their restaurants. So gotta wait a little bit longer. And once we've made it into Laos, we can see a little bit more of what this train experience is like, especially in terms of food. We pulled into our second border crossing to what initially felt like it might be a repeat experience. But things were a lot different than at the Chinese border crossing. That line was a lot slower than leaving China, but I'm already in Laos. If I really wanted, I could just go head on out and be in Laos, but I'm going to a different part of the country today. And yeah, for a Laos visa, you can get an e-visa or a visa on arrival, but I've been told they don't really like it when you try to do a visa on arrival at this station, so the e-visa is just slightly more expensive. It's like somewhere around $50 US with some kind of fee they add on there. The visa on arrival would be cheaper, but I wouldn't risk it. It might be a situation where they don't even let you board the Chinese train or where it takes too long to get your visa on arrival. But our train's boarding. So let's get back on. The whole experience had really shifted though. Perhaps it was just that a week in China had got me really used to the place. But this was the same exact crowd as at the other station, and somehow the energy was completely different. Back to the train. You can see that second class is a lot more packed than first class too. I'll have to do a more thorough exploration of the train now that we've actually got a few hours of travel ahead of us. Oops, entered at the wrong end. And I hadn't thought to point it out earlier, but there's also a USB socket along with a regular charging port there. So, phone getting juice. Now I need some juice. Another older train's pulling up on the other track there. Interesting. They actually run a few different types of trains on this route. The one I'm on today is one of the faster options with less stops. But here we are, pulling out of the station, now in the country of Laos. Soon enough, we were bolting through the countryside again, just in a different country now. All right, and we're now hitting our first station over in the country of Laos, and someone's coming around with the food cart now. My only issue though is that I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pay with WeChat or something. I have very limited Chinese cash and no Lao cash, just because it looked kind of like there might only be snacks in that cart. And I did see that there is definitely a dining car. It's just like many cars up that way. There's a whole lot of dust at this station. On the Laos side, there are a few extra trains per day that just do the Laos portion of this route. But since the stop happened to take place right before the food cart got to me, I took the chance to see what they had available. There is a menu, but they don't have any fresh options. And well, this is all my Chinese money. I don't have any Lao money, and it's not enough to really buy anything. This is what you could buy. We have at least got a solution. Really strange thing in China for, I want to say it was like 1090 yuan, so like 11 yuan you could say. You can get all of this. It's like a peanut oil, spicy, sort of like a beef jerky type thing. 208 grams of it. It's like insanely cheap. It can be good for you. Oh, I mean, around the world there are lots of countries that love their spicy food, but when it comes to spice variety, China might just be the winner. There's probably about 10 different types of hot peppers just in this one. Let's call it deconstructed beef hot pot. So yeah, I don't know if I'd say I'm regretting not flying. This is a unique thing to do once, but you know, if I were to return back to where I came from today, like 80% of the time you're in a tunnel here, there's no food included. It might actually be cheaper in some cases to fly. We paid about $60 US each for this train ticket. And there was a little booking fee because we booked it on trip.com. Second class was like $43 US or so. So not really that much less, $17. But you don't really get that much more here either. I don't know. I guess if you would really value having a more comfortable seat like this, first class is classy. But I've got to just do a little bit more of an investigation here. It seems improbable that there'd be all these Chinese people on the train that wouldn't be able to pay with at least WePay, the most common way of paying in China, or Alipay at least. I don't know. Let's see. Oh man, so many economy class carriages here. Alrighty, and here's the food place. Oh, they maybe have more stuff here. I have only 16 yuan. I was hoping maybe to be able to buy something salty.
16 yuan.
1.6, yeah. Or maybe these ramen, right?
Do you have 16 yuan?
Yeah, I have.
16 yuan.
I don't know, 1.6. Yeah. 1.6.
Only one.
Only that. Alipay also, no?
No.
Then I will just take what I can get.
Sorry.
Okay. Poor gringo, sorry. 谢谢. Wrong language. Lao language? Yeah. Or Chinese only.
Lao only.
How do you say thank you?
ขอบใจ
Come sai?
ขอบ
Come?
ขอบ
Come.
ใจ
Cup jai. Okay. Cup jai. 谢谢. Cup
ขอบใจ
jai.
谢谢
Hey, do you have one for my wife? Extra spoon. Second.
Only one.
2 people. I gave you extra money, you can give me an extra spoon. 16 yuan is 47,000, so I gave you 7,000 for a spoon.
มันจะคับ
Okay.
one by one.
Okay, I'll just give it to my wife. Ice cream. But is the ice cream even edible? Let's see. Strawberry. Yeah, okay, this is just like what you get in the United States. As we kept on, the train ride through the Lao countryside felt a lot different. But somehow those 2 hours at the border stations were really making this journey feel longer than it needed to be. Eventually that feeling kind of faded away though. As we started to get close to Luang Prabang station, the views got pretty wild.
We are now arriving at Luang Prabang station.
And this right here is Luang Prabang. It's one of the premier places that people like to come as tourists to Laos. I'll be coming back here later, but right now I'm staying on the train because I'm going to get off at the next stop. The place does look stunning to take a train through though. The journey on to Vang Vieng is just about another hour, but it's already becoming hard to imagine that I woke up in a different country today. Now things look so different from China. More rural, even more vast, and at least for now, less familiar. The views are incredible here. I mean, Laos. Crazy rock formation mountains on one side, agriculture and the distant river on the other, more rock formations. And I'm really interested to see what this country is like. Getting there was just one little part of the journey. It's really all about the next 7 days that I'm about to spend in Laos. And as for what you get when you book a first class ticket on this specific Chinese fast train, well, that's pretty much it. There's no food included. The seat does seem slightly more comfortable than it would be over in second class. And if you ask me, the whole border control situation where you've got to go to 2 different stations isn't great. I entered the country of Ukraine by train just last April, and they actually checked passports and did all of the entrance processes right on the train while you were moving. I don't see why they couldn't just do it like that for these Chinese fast trains as well, but at the moment they're not, so that's what you get. But as a way to travel between these 2 countries, this train route has really opened up Laos. Just a few years ago, getting to Vang Vieng from China could have meant days on rough mountain roads. Now it takes just a few hours. And the moment you cross the border, everything changes.
Now arriving at Vang Vieng Station.
That's where a trip to Laos really begins. Vang Vieng. Oh yeah, and one last thing. To get out, make sure you didn't throw away a ticket or something. They do check. You know you're visiting a good place when the train station parking lot looks like this.